Welcome back to the Crudbuilder. Today I'm working on the core. So I've got to get this core done so that I can mount it to the front of the car, and once I can get it mounted to the front of the car, then I can get these fenders mounted again. It's just a whole domino effect of things that need to get done on the car, from putting the fenders on so that I can finish the door welds, so I can crease the front fenders and do some other things, and then eventually get started on this hood. That would all be nice to do, and it all starts with this core. The core will be mounted to the car with these two pieces of 1-inch all thread. We'll run these up. I can show you real quick. We'll run these up through these holes in the frame like this. Washer at either end, nut at either end, boom, and then we'll have another washer that sits above the core support, and bolts. So it's just basically firming this core support right to the car. But that's going to be phase 2. What we're still working on in phase 1 right now, I started a little bit on this last night, is I'm just going in here and I'm just trying to strengthen this core with some welds. It's very flimsy. I mean, it's real thin material. I'm kind of surprised, considering pretty much everything else on this car has been pretty heavy duty. This core is probably one of the weediest little core supports that I've ever seen, but we're gonna use it, and so that's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm just going to continue to weld these seams up and just kind of firm this up. And also I'm going in, I'm putting all the bolts back into, you know, all these exposed holes, just to try to strengthen it up. And so these pieces will get tightened down and also tack welded to the core. And so I'm gonna do that and finish that phase, and then I'll be back to show you kind of how we're gonna mount it into the car. All right, I got the core pretty much welded and reinforced. I put this little front piece back on it. I think this will add some strength and act as a blocker for the radiator if any weird stuff is flying around, or it'll get knocked into the radiator. I don't know, we'll see. But it's reinforced. What I have also done, just finished with these, I cut some small pieces of plate and I created these specialized washers. I'll show you why. The bottom of the frame, kind of hard to see, but the bottom of the frame, much bigger hole. So I'm gonna take one of those specialized washers and it's just gonna spread over the entire bottom here and be big enough to cover that gap, and then the all thread will come up through here. So I was going to drill some out of this piece of steel, but I'm out of bits, and so this is something I've done before. It works just fine. So these are really hot, so we'll see how this is going to go. So I got to clean all this. Let's clean all this stuff off, because I don't want to lose any hardware here. And then we can mount our core. And I still have to finish this side of the bumper over here, which is something else I may just knock out today. Probably won't film it because you guys have already had a pretty good view into how I did my bumper, but we'll need all these washers, we'll need all these bolts, nuts, So, grab this core, set it where we want it here. It does feel a lot more stout since I was able to reinforce it. Whoop. Yeah, this could be a problem. I don't really think this through. This little reinforcing piece is kind of preventing me from dropping this down below here. It's supposed to drop down a little bit right into that little spot right there, and the radiator would mount right here. But you know, I did shorten the frame about an inch or two when I did this, so that's probably why that's doing that. Alternative is I put it there and our holes don't line up. So I'm gonna fix this guy real quick. I think what I'll do is, and this will be stronger anyway, I think I'll remove these bolts, flatten these two pieces, and bring this down so that it's flush here, and I'll just weld it. So let me do that real quick and we'll be right back. Okay, so I removed the bolts, flattened this, and just welded it. Still a little hot. I think it's gonna fit in there nicely now though, so let's try it out. Oh yeah, perfect. So they're not exactly where we want them, but we can lean this core forward a little bit, and I think that gets us pretty much exactly where we want to be. So I really like the way this turned out so far. Yeah, it's gonna work nicely. Perfect. So and once we get the threaded rod in there and get everything cinched up, I think it's gonna be even better. So hopefully our little washer project that we did here, these are still pretty hot to the touch. We'll bring them over anyway. Bring over our threaded rod. All right. We're gonna need Alright, so these are going to drop through. Actually, what we need to do is we need to get these ready to drop through, and to do that, we're going to have, there's going to be some bolts that are kind of mid-range. In fact, we don't even need the core just yet. We're going to put this guy over here. Because the way that I'm going to do this is, well, you'll see. So we're going to thread up this nut just high enough to give us enough clearance. We're going to take one of our washers, we're going to drop this guy down in there like that. Do not, oops, there we go. Okay, we need enough clearance on the bottom so that we can get our custom washer and nut on the bottom. Right. I think that might be it. All right, I can pick this up now, roughly. A little bit of welding spatter on there. I want to go diagonal with it. Okay. Now we're gonna need pipe wrench. This guy might not even be big enough. Probably not. So we will probably need Mr. Pipe Wrench, which, where's my old pipe wrench? So I found both my pipe wrenches. I got one on the top, and we are going to start tightening the one on the bottom, hopefully. Trying to get the washer to just kiss both sides of this so that it's nice and firm. It's heading out in a weird direction, so I don't know if I like that. I don't think I do. I think I'm gonna redo it. So stand by. All right, I got the washer to sit better where I want it, which is right under those two plates. Well, the bumper and the bracket. So now I just gotta tighten it down, which I will do off camera. I'm gonna do the other one real quick first. So again, I've got to get one nut threaded high enough to go on the top of the bracket. Of course, threads are not cooperating. Or this nut's not cooperating, one of the two. It's the nut. Oh. There we go. It's not bad. Still be a little more. Okay. Now let's see if we can do this. Well, actually, I don't know if I can do this side because I still haven't finished the bumper over here. This bumper bracket is supposed to bend all the way up to here and get welded to the bottom of the bumper. So, you know what? I'm gonna do that real quick and I will be right back. So I've got the underside of the driver's side done now, so we can commence with running our all thread here. Still a little hot from the welding. Let's get our super washer. Here it is. And again, we want this to just sit flat against this plate here. These two guys. Oh. Okay, well, put the little pipe wrench on the top. And we will tighten this guy from the bottom. I've made you guys wait long enough. Let's see what this thing's gonna look like. Not mess up my truck. All right. I have dropped the core on. I have a nut and a washer underneath, a nut and a washer on the top to cinch this tight, and this is pretty good. The next step that I'm gonna do is weld a couple of these washers here and then nut down there, and then this thing will be fully mounted. So, you know, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this little guy does. If somebody comes over the top of my bumper, that's just gonna get mashed right on in to the radiator. With all this room here, I am gonna mount my electric fan on the inside of my radiator, this year. So yeah, it's turned out pretty good. I just, like I said, I mean, God, this core is just so, I've never seen a core this flimsy. My Buick core was definitely not this flimsy. So yeah, we'll I'll weld these up and nut this down, and that'll probably do it for this episode. But I'll give you a little show as to what the final product looks like. The core went together so nicely, and it is a lot more stout than when I started, that I went ahead and mounted the radiator in here. Put some pool noodles on the top and the bottom. This is a GM radiator, so it's a little smaller, so it fits in there kind of better. And then all that I've done is I just wired through the holes in the top of the radiator through the top and bottom of the core. So it's mounted in 4 areas. I wish this was a little easier to get open, but I'll figure that out at a later time. So radiators on the core. This is very solid. There will be an electric fan that'll get mounted on the inside. And just this thing's been going together so nicely that I even at this point, I kind of wanted to see how the fenders look on this thing. And I'm pretty pleased. They're a little, the core is a little higher now than probably where it was stock on the car. Probably a fair amount. So you can kind of see they have a little bend in the angle there. But once I get this gap welded and plated, that won't even really matter anymore.